The Wind in the Willows. The Wind in the Willows. Chapter 1. The River Bank, Sleep Story Edition. Welcome, little dreamers. Take a slow, deep breath and let your day fall away. Tonight, we begin a peaceful journey into The Wind in the Willows, a classic story of friendship, discovery, and the simple joy of life beside the river. Here begins Chapter 1. The River Bank. The mole had been working very hard all the morning, spring cleaning his little home. First with brooms, then with dusters, then on ladders and steps and chairs with a brush and a pail of whitewash, till he had dust in his throat and eyes, and splashes of whitewash all over his black fur, and an aching back and weary arms. Spring was moving in the air, above and in the earth below and around him, penetrating even his dark and lowly little house, with its spirit of divine discontent and longing. It was small wonder, then, that he suddenly flung down his brush on the floor, said, "Bother," and "Oh, blow," and also "Hang spring cleaning," and bolted out of the house without even waiting to put on his coat. Something up above was calling him imperiously, and he made for the steep little tunnel, which answered in his case to the gravelled carriage drive, owned by animals whose residences are nearer to the sun and air. So he scraped and scratched and scrabbled and scrooged, and then he scrooged again and scrabbled and scratched and scraped, working busily with his little paws and muttering to himself, up we go, till at last, pop. His snout came out into the sunlight, and he found himself rolling in the warm grass of a great meadow. "This is fine," he said to himself. "This is better than whitewashing." The sunshine struck hot on his fur. Soft breezes caressed his heated brow, and after the seclusion of the cellarage he had lived in for so long, the carol of happy birds fell on his dulled hearing almost like a shout. Jumping off all his 4 legs at once, in the joy of living and the delight of spring without its cleaning, he pursued his way across the meadow till he reached the hedge on the further side. "Hold up," said an elderly rabbit at the gap. "Sixpence for the privilege of passing by the private road." He was bowled over in an instant by the impatient and contemptuous mole, who trotted along the side of the hedge, chaffing the other rabbits as they peeped hurriedly from their holes to see what the row was about. "Onion sauce, onion sauce," he remarked jeeringly, and was gone before they could think of a thoroughly satisfactory reply. Then they all started grumbling at each other. "How stupid you are! Why didn't you tell him? Well, why didn't you say? You might have reminded him," and so on, in the usual way. But of course, it was then much too late, as is always the case. It all seemed too good to be true. Hither and thither through the meadows, he rambled busily, along the hedgerows, across the copses, finding everywhere birds building, flowers budding, leaves thrusting, everything happy and progressive and occupied. And instead of having an uneasy conscience pricking him and whispering, "Whitewash," he somehow could only feel how jolly it was to be the only idle dog among all these busy citizens. After all, the best part of a holiday is perhaps not so much to be resting yourself as to see all the other fellows busy working. He thought his happiness was complete when, as he meandered aimlessly along, suddenly he stood by the edge of a full-fed river. Never in his life had he seen a river before. This sleek, sinuous, full-bodied animal, chasing and chuckling, gripping things with a gurgle, and leaving them with a laugh, to fling itself on fresh playmates that shook themselves free and were caught and held again. All was a shake and a shiver, glints and gleams and sparkles, rustle and swirl, chatter and bubble. The mole was bewitched, entranced, fascinated. By the side of the river, he trotted as one bewitched, spellbound. He trailed a paw in the water and dreamed long waking dreams. The weeds below the surface gently swayed and undulated, each in its own way, the silky ones particularly catching his eye as they streamed and waved so gracefully. Stretching up in the shallows, the willow herb and meadow sweet seemed to hold out welcoming arms to him. The palm-tufted pollard willows, with their green shoulders under the edge of the water, ran here and there, chattering as they sported with the wind. As he sat on the bank, absorbed and fascinated, he heard a faint sound of scratching and scraping. Turning quickly, he saw a brown little face with whiskers, small, neat ears, and bright eyes peering up from the hole. "Bother," said the rat. "Do I have to stop my work just when it's getting interesting?" "Oh, it's you, Mole. Why, come along and have a look." The mole was so enchanted that he could only gasp, "Oh my, oh my, oh my." The rat, seeing his delight, said kindly, "This is the river. It's my world, and I don't want any other. What it hasn't got isn't worth having, and what it doesn't know isn't worth knowing." The mole said shyly, "Do you live here, by the river?" "By it and with it and on it and in it," said the rat. "It's brother and sister to me, and aunts and company, and food and drink, and naturally washing. It's my world, and I don't want any other." Do you know how to row?" asked Mole eagerly. The rat nodded. "Of course. Come with me." And before Mole quite knew what was happening, Rat pulled out a small boat and they pushed off together into the current. The mole sat in the bow, quivering with excitement. "Isn't this fine?" he cried. "Isn't it?" said the rat. "There's nothing, absolutely nothing, half so much worth doing as simply messing about in boats. In or out of them, it doesn't matter," he went on dreamily. "Whether you get away or you don't, whether you arrive at your destination or somewhere else, or whether you never get anywhere at all, you're always busy, and you can't help but be happy if you're messing about in boats." The mole let the words drift over him, like sunlight through willows. He felt the river beneath them, calm and strong and alive, carrying them gently onward. For the rest of the day, the two new friends picnicked on the riverbank, watched dragonflies skim the surface, and talked of adventures and homely things. The mole forgot his house completely, and when the evening came and the sun dipped low behind the trees, the rat invited him to stay. "There's a spare bed for you," he said, "and breakfast in the morning." Mole smiled, his heart full of joy. "Thank you, Ratty," he said softly. "This has been the best day ever." And together they watched the stars appear over the quiet river, where the water whispered softly to the reeds. And so ends Chapter 1, The River Bank. May your dreams tonight carry you gently down a peaceful stream, where friendship, nature, and stillness meet. Good night.